I fairly recently came out as atheist to my family, and especially with my mother, I've been having a really hard time with the conversations that have come out of it, because she, not just in her theism, pretty much throughout her entire life, but I think especially in her theism, she's just a very emotionally driven thinker.
Okay.
And very fuzzy, and not like it's almost like she's offended by trying to put something in concrete thinking terms.
Okay.
And I know that's a pretty big and open-ended question, especially for this late in the show. But if you've got any advice for how to deal with that or how to approach that, I'm all ears.
So what is your reason for wanting to confront her with this? Does she know that you're an atheist?
Yeah, and
okay.
It's not really a confrontation at this point. It's
okay.
more, she's just kind of been asking me, so what's the deal? Why, because I was raised, pretty fundamentalist. And I'm in my late 30s now, and I've only just kind of come public with it. It's only been a few years that I've kind of come to this. So every time I try and explain it, she gets into this kind of an emotional, or an overly emotional state that I can't really communicate with her very easily. Even when I'm trying to be as
well, I mean, there's not much else you can do. Hold on a minute here, Joel. So, I mean, if she gets upset, you kind of have to just pull back and say, I can see that this conversation is upsetting you, and perhaps we can talk about this another time when you're feeling a little better. I mean, I don't know what else you can do. If something is starting to really upset somebody, certainly you don't want to proceed with the conversation at that point. She's asking you questions, so you're just simply doing your best to try to answer her. You're not like bringing this to the table. She's asking you about it. But then when she starts to get the answer, she gets upset. And so, what you can do is try to kindly explain things to her. If she gets upset, you just have to tell her, it's clear to me that you're becoming upset about this, and I'd rather not continue the conversation if it's upsetting you. Perhaps we can talk about this another time when you're feeling better. And then if this happens more than a couple times, I think what my response would start to be is, I don't know that we should have that conversation, because every time we try, I seem to upset you with when I'm just trying to explain it, and I don't want to have a conversation where it's going to upset you. Maybe we should just converse about other things that are not so upsetting to you, Mom.
Right. The boundaries, setting that I would also suggest that if it's to that point to where you can't really have a conversation and it's really being so detrimental to her emotional well-being, then it's at that point it may just be best to say, like, hey, no, I would rather not talk about that. So kind of like just reflecting on what Tracie said, that it may be the best thing for you. I love you to death. I want to have fun when we get together. I want to enjoy our time together. Whether it be holidays or if it's more than that, or gatherings, what have you. But if this is going to upset you and bring down the mood and make you feel angry at me or look at me disparagingly, then I'd rather just leave this alone for now, or maybe we can just talk about it some way in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So you ask a question and I may answer it, and whenever you start to feel overwhelmed or you don't want to continue, then we just stop right there and be.
Another option would be that if she's asking you very similar questions, like if she's asking you the same kind of questions over and over again, you might find a resource that is like a well-written article that reflects your thinking on this, and just say to her, because it upsets you to talk to me about it in real time, I found this article and I think it explains it really well. This is kind of how I view it, and maybe at your own pace you can read this and get an idea of how I'm thinking about this stuff.
That's a good idea. I've actually just about finished an email. I had suggested doing it over email rather than in person. And she seems okay with that, and I've got a handful of links in there, so hopefully that'll work. But that was kind of my last ditch on my own before doing like both of you were saying. It's like, hey, these conversations really aren't going anywhere, so I guess I'll give that a shot. And hopefully. And
like I say, maybe if she sees someone else saying it, it won't be so personal to her.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but do understand that. I mean, it may not go as well as you hope. That it's just that even if you send the article, she may not read it. She may read it and say, "Oh, it was garbage." those are the reactions that you can get. Like, there's some people in my family that we don't talk about the subject at all, like not once in any form.
Sometimes
we
you
just
can't.
but we enjoy each other for everything else that we bring to the table. We still have fun and talk about life and everything. Not my dating life, of course, but other aspects of the life. So,
and I encourage you to visit the blog. I am sure that we're going to have people that are going to say, hey, and to that caller, Joel in Oregon, here's what I think. And so you'll probably get some other ideas from them as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, too.
Sure. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, I think the crew is going to come get me after this.
with pitchforks coming
We're
around the
going to
corner.
dinner.